In October 2022, a YouTuber who runs a channel called Creepy Outdoors uploaded footage from a camping trip that would leave viewers deeply unsettled. The channel is dedicated to nighttime explorations of remote outdoor locations, often in challenging weather conditions and isolated terrain. For this particular expedition, the uploader ventured into an unnamed forest in a completely secluded area. Armed with only a flashlight and camera, he set out to explore the surrounding woods in total darkness. For the first several minutes of footage, all you can hear is his steady breathing and the crunch of leaves beneath his boots. As he continues deeper into the woods, he occasionally makes observations about his surroundings, commenting on the terrain and the eerie stillness.
Everything here is dead or dying. Holy spider webs. I'm not sure if you guys ever seen the Blair Witch Project, but damn, this is just giving me Blair Witch Project vibes.
Throughout the footage, there's no indication that anyone else is nearby. He appears to be completely alone. Then, about 13 minutes into the video, something happens that changes everything. From somewhere in the distance, maybe a couple hundred feet away, a voice cuts through the silence.
Oh, fuck. Oh, hi. What the hell? I need to get out of here. Oh, boy. Ooh. Okay. That was fucking creepy. I need to get out of here. Ooh.
It sounds distinctly like someone yelling, "I see you." The uploader's reaction is immediate. He's visibly shaken, his breathing quickens, and he starts making his way back toward his campsite as quickly as possible. Now, it's possible the sound came from a coyote or fox. These animals can produce vocalizations that sometimes sound eerily human, especially when echoing through dense forest. But the clarity of what sounds like "I see you" is difficult to dismiss as simply animal noise. The other explanation is that another person was out there in the woods, perhaps another camper who heard the uploader talking and moving through the area and decided to play a cruel prank. But that raises an unsettling question. Why would anyone else be wandering through the same isolated section of forest in complete darkness at the exact same time? What makes the incident even more disturbing is the timing. The voice seemed to call out almost immediately after the uploader switched off his lamp, as if whoever or whatever was out there had been watching and waiting for that specific moment to reveal themselves. Fortunately, the uploader made it back to his campsite without further incident, though the identity of the voice that night remains unknown. If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe for more. On September 10th, 2024, two fishermen set out early for a morning of kayaking on Lake Emery in Franklin, North Carolina. It was around 7:45 a.m., and the lake was calm and quiet. Mark Wilkins and his friend were paddling across the water when Mark noticed something drifting up ahead. At first, it looked like a log, but something about the shape didn't seem right. Mark paddled closer to get a better look. As he approached, his stomach dropped as he made a horrifying discovery.
A human being?
Copy that.
Say again?
Copy. I think we got a dead body here. Yep, we do. A dead body. Oh my God, a dead body. I found a dead body. Oh my God, a dead body.
It was human remains, partially submerged and clearly having been in the water for days. For a few seconds, Mark tried to convince himself it might be a Halloween decoration that had ended up in the lake. but the closer he got, the clearer it became. He sat there in his kayak, trying to steady himself. After a couple of minutes, he pulled out his phone and called 911.
I am fishing on Lake Emery, and I have come across a dead body.
We're out on Lake Emery.
I am putting at the boat ramp, and I was going down towards the discharge, the water station discharge, and I'm kind of in between the discharge and the boat ramp, heading down towards the dam.
Did you pull in over there by the Ford dealership?
No, I put in at the boat ramp they made on Lake Emery.
On Lakeside Drive, that boat ramp?
Yes.
That's just up by Curry and Bruin and all that.
Yes. But yeah, but you got to head down. You're heading down towards the dam.
Okay. Are you in the water?
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at it.
I'm not trying to get that close.
No, you can see his face. I mean, I thought it was like some kind of yard decoration or something, but I don't know, dude. That looks pretty fucking dead to me.
What made the discovery even more unsettling was that just 1 month earlier, authorities had recovered the body of a 19-year-old boy from the same lake. Now, staring at another set of remains in the same water, Mark couldn't help but wonder if the deaths were connected, adding another disturbing layer to an already unsettling situation. While waiting for police, he also remembered seeing a pair of Crocs sitting near the boat ramp he'd used earlier that morning. Authorities later identified the remains as 50-year-old Ethel Marie Ogle. According to their investigation, there was no evidence of foul play in her death. Sam runs a YouTube channel called The Northwest Wind, where he documents stealth camping trips across Ohio. In January 2024, he uploaded footage from a trip that would turn into every solo camper's worst nightmare. Sam parked his van at a dog park in Cleveland and hiked a few hundred yards into the nearby woods to set up camp. On the way in, he passed a tent that had been completely shredded, torn to pieces, and left abandoned. It was unsettling, but he kept going anyway.
So that was the end of the official trail. There's all kinds of unofficial trails that go all through these woods. It's a couple hundred acres. Don't think you're allowed to camp back here, but I'm not camping. I'm just gonna lay my head for the night in a stealthy way. And it's like humid from all this rain. My sausages are sweaty. Always have to come back for the camera now. Of course, I dropped it in the snow. That's always good too. I love dropping my camera in the snow. Fabulous. We're gonna bushwhack a little bit. We've been walking for about 15 minutes. I don't like that you can hear the highway, but ow. Son of I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a fire going either. I brought everything I need to start a fire, but oh, this looks nice up here. I brought everything I need to start a fire, but everything's literally soaked. This looks pretty nice up here. I think we're gonna call this home for the evening. Looks pretty dry, well, relatively. What do you know? This looks like a tent or a tarp. That kind of sketches me out. So that's the remains of a tent and a tarp. That means somebody's camped back here before. Now, it could have just been some young punks smoking dope. Or it could have been like an Asian Tony type character, maybe Asian Tony himself. That kind of sketches me out. I don't like the vibe I got seeing that. That gives me a weird vibe. Super weird vibe.
After pitching his tent, he started cooking dinner on a camping stove as the sun went down. A couple of people walked past his campsite, and Sam mentioned on camera that he was getting a bad feeling about them, like he might be in danger. Most experienced campers will tell you that if your gut says something's wrong, you should pack up and leave. But Sam decided to stay for the night. Once he settled into his tent to sleep, things started going wrong.
There's somebody, hang on. I don't know if they could see it or not through the tent. I don't think so. I'm leaning right up against the light, but somebody's walking around out there very close to the tent. Somebody's out there. I don't know if they're coming this way or just walking around out there. I can't tell. Somebody's definitely walking around out there, though. Hang on. I don't want to leave the light on in case they could see in here. I think the fly is thick enough that they can't see the light, but still, I'm leaning right up against the lantern, so you can only just barely see my face.
The footsteps grew louder. Sam called out, asking who was there. No response. He called out again. Still nothing. It wasn't until he'd yelled several times that the situation became clear. Someone was circling his tent, and they weren't leaving.
Somebody's walking around out there. They're getting closer, too. Hang on. Hang on. I want you to be able to see as much as possible, but I'm not going to turn on the lantern again. I have my headlamp in my pocket, too. They're really close now. They're like... Listen. I don't like this at all. I'm spooked. Hello? Hello? They're really close. They're like 10 feet away. I think there's two people. I can't tell. I can barely hear them talking. They're whispering. I think there's two people. Hello? Two of them, they're coming closer to the tent. They have to know that I'm in here. I'm gonna try and just be silent. Hang on. They're walking around outside in circles. Hello? Hello? All right, I don't like this. Hello? Hello? They're touching my tent. Stop. They're right outside the tent. Hello? I'm in here. Hello? 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 Alright, I'm getting the f out of here. Hello? Hello? I don't know what the f this is, but we're getting out of here. Hang on. Hello? Okay, they're walking away now. What do you want? What do you want? I have a knife. Where's my knife? They're f***ing with me. They're f***ing with me here. Holy crap, get away, what do you want? Hello, I can't see you. Hello? All right, I'm getting out of here. We're getting the hell out of here. Hello? What do you want? Say something, I see you. They collapsed my tent on me. I don't know which way they went. I think they went this way. I see you. Get away! All right, I'm spooked. I don't like this. Get my headlamp on and we're getting out of here right now. They're just standing there. They're just standing there. What do you want? Leave me alone! They went over that way. I can't see them now.
The attackers eventually stepped back from the tent. But when Sam emerged, he saw them standing just a few feet away in the darkness, watching him. Panicking, Sam abandoned his campsite and started making his way back toward the dog park where his van was parked. But the attackers didn't stop following him.
All right, they're moving again. I don't know, I'm getting out of here. We're going. I'll come back for this some other time. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I'm leaving, don't follow me. I don't know where to go. I don't know which way to get out of here. I smell your cigarette, I can hear you. I hear you.
As he fled through the woods, he glanced back and saw the two figures rifling through his gear at the campsite. He didn't stop. When he looked back again moments later, they were chasing him.
This is how the do I get out of here? Hang on, let me see if they're... Stay away from me! They're coming behind me. I don't know what they're doing. They could just be around. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. They're at my campsite. I see them. I see you reflecting off my tent. Leave my shit alone! All right, I'm getting out of here. You can have it. How do I? Which way? Here. Okay.
Sam eventually made it back to his van and drove home. In a follow-up, he explained that when he returned the next morning to retrieve his equipment, everything was still there. The attackers hadn't stolen anything. That detail makes the encounter even more disturbing. If they weren't there to rob him, what did they want? Why circle his tent in the dark? Why chase him through the woods? Some viewers accuse Sam of staging the whole thing, pointing out that most people wouldn't keep filming while sprinting through a forest at night. But his fears seem genuine, and people react differently under stress. Whatever their intentions were that night, Sam got out before finding out. In November 2020, Ethan from the YouTube channel Lucas Ranks uploaded footage that showed just how quickly a routine hunting trip can turn into a life-or-death situation. Duck hunting is often considered one of the safer forms of hunting. You're typically near open water rather than deep in the wilderness where encounters with bears or other predators are a real concern. But as Ethan discovered, it comes with dangers of its own.
I'm gonna head into that spot this morning and hope to shoot a few divers. I don't know how it's gonna be because I've only got a dozen decoys and they're mallards, but this is gonna be really exciting because I don't get to hunt big water that often. Hopefully I get to kill a few divers that I don't often get to kill, and if not, I'm sure I'm gonna see a bunch of ducks, so I'm really excited about that. Let's go duck hunting. Alright guys, I'm all set up here. Seen a few ducks flying around. Found this laid down tree that's perfect cover. And like I said, I'm only running 2 Mojos and a dozen decoys. I'm not going to be picky. If some divers come in, great. If some mallards come in, even better. But I just want to shoot some ducks. I've been deer hunting quite a bit. So
That morning, he was out alone on a lake, waiting for ducks to gather as the sun slowly rose. After staking out on the beach for a few hours, he spotted his target and took the shot. The duck went down, but it fell too far out into the water. Without a boat, his only option was to wade in and retrieve it. Ethan had plenty of duck hunting experience, but he wasn't entirely familiar with this particular lake. As he moved deeper into the water toward the downed duck, the ground suddenly disappeared beneath him. There was a sharp drop-off just a few feet from shore, and he plunged into water over his head, immediately struggling to stay afloat. He knew how to swim, but that didn't matter as much as it should have. The real problem was his waders. They filled with water almost instantly, dragging him down and making it nearly impossible to move his legs. What's normally a simple task, treading water, became exponentially harder. With each second, the weight pulling him under grew heavier, and drowning became a very real possibility. The water was also freezing. Even if he could somehow stay afloat with the waterlogged waders, hypothermia was setting in fast. The cold was seizing up his muscles, making every movement more difficult. After what felt like an eternity, but was likely only a minute or two, he managed to find the underwater ledge with his feet and pull himself back onto solid ground. He made it out relatively unharmed, but the margin for error had been razor thin. His level-headed response certainly helped, but surviving that moment came down to sheer luck as much as anything else.